I predicted that the Indianapolis Colts would go 11-6 last year in 2021. I thought they were a playoff team building toward an eventual Super Bowl appearance down the road. Maybe if things had gone well, last year they make the playoffs, next year they make a Super Bowl, run. Because during last offseason, they made a really big move and traded for quarterback Carson Wentz. And I wholeheartedly believed that Carson Wentz was going to be a home run. I thought, hey, the Rams traded for Matthew Stafford. They got their quarterback. The Colts traded for Carson Wentz. They got their guy. These two guys are going to make a massive impact on their new teams. And look, Matthew Stafford did. Carson Wentz did not. Now, Carson was reuniting with Frank Reich, his former offensive coordinator in 2017 when Carson had his best year in the NFL. Now, the reality is I got it totally wrong. Indy did not make the playoffs, and Carson did not work with Indy. After just 1 year, the Colts traded Carson Wentz away to the Washington Commanders. We now have Commander Carson. Fun nickname. We'll see how he does. And by the way, the Colts have had 4 different starting quarterbacks in the last 4 years. Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and now they're going to have their 5th quarterback in 5 years. It's brutal. I don't know. I have a hard time feeling like the Colts did the right thing getting rid of Carson Wentz, because, look, yeah, you got rid of a guy you were frustrated with, but now you have no quarterback. You also have no first-round pick. I don't know what their plan is, and people are celebrating, yeah, we got rid of Carson, but, do you have a plan? Are you really better off? Are you going to win more games next year without Carson? Is Sam Ehlinger going to play quarterback for you? I really don't know what they're going to do. It blows my mind, the celebrations we're seeing from Colts fans as if Carson was the worst thing to ever walk the face of the earth. I thought early on in the year he was maybe the best player on the Colts. He fell apart at the end, and statistically, Carson was not horrible. He had a 62.4% completion percentage. He threw for 3,563 yards, 27 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions. Here is the number one failing, though, for Carson Wentz. Here is the reason why apparently the Colts were fed up with him and wanted to get rid of him. Apparently, he wasn't that great of a leader, and he was unwilling to take tough coaching. He just... And by the way, that came from The Athletic, which is, in my opinion, the best sports journalists in the world. And sports media, there's not a lot of sports journalism that goes on. There's a lot of sports media, people like me who talk. I'm not a journalist. I talk and I share my opinion. Journalism is a different beast altogether, and The Athletic are the best sports journalists in the world. I really, really heavily respect them. So when they say something, I believe them. They report that Carson wasn't a great leader. They were kind of frustrated with his... they made it sound like he was... To me, when I read the article from The Athletic, it sounded like Carson was fragile, uncoachable. He took way too many bad risks with the football that they were frustrated with. And I really respect the old school quality journalism from The Athletic. I believe them when they say that. Because otherwise, Carson on paper had a good year. Not amazing. He definitely fell off at the end. But if he was a bad leader, I can understand how the owner, Jim Irsay, would be frustrated with that and say, I'm just not putting up with this anymore. And it did seem a little bit emotional. It felt like Jim Irsay just gave up on Carson and said, Chris Ballard, my GM, I don't care what, I want this guy off my team. It felt like something went on with the owner and he's lost faith in the quarterback and said, I refuse to pay this guy this amount of money. I don't want him on my team anymore. Now, the most damaging reality for Carson Wentz was that in the final game of the year, Week 18, on the road at Jacksonville. By the way, Jacksonville, the team with the worst record in the NFL, they have the number 1 overall pick in this year's NFL draft. They were horrible. It's the biggest game of the year for the Colts playing against the worst team in the NFL. If you win the game, Indy gets into the playoffs. And all you got to do is beat this bad team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Carson Wentz did not lead the charge the way you would expect your franchise quarterback making a ton of money to do. When you make a big trade for this guy, you expect him to deliver in that big moment at the end of the year against, again, a bad football team. And in fact, Carson had a fumble and an interception, 2 turnovers that both led to Jaguars points. He handed the Jaguars 10 points. So in the biggest game of the year, Carson did not deliver. Everyone was unimpressed. And So they lost Week 18 at Jacksonville, 26-11. The Colts went 9-8. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers went 9-7-1. So the Colts finished the number 8 seed in the AFC. The top 7 teams make it into the playoffs. Pittsburgh got in. The Colts did not. How painful is that? You were one game away. You had to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you make it into the playoffs. Carson didn't show up. They lost the game on the road. Meanwhile, all the Jaguars fans were literally wearing clown outfits. I can imagine a passionate, emotional owner like Jim Irsay of the Colts was like, I'm so done. I'm sure that in that moment, watching Jaguars fans in clown outfits celebrate his team not making the playoffs, he's like, I am done with this quarterback. I want him out of here. Because they made it clear right at the end of the season, from that point on, they're like, we are no longer sticking with Carson Wentz. We are at it on this guy. And I do wonder if Carson's failure as a quarterback in Indianapolis, Colts head coach Frank Reich, did it hurt his standing in the building? Because he pounded the table for Carson. This is my guy, he said. And now I would imagine owner Jim Irsay and general manager Chris Ballard are probably giving Frank Reich the side eye like, you believed in this guy? He was not impressive to us? Like, what did you see in him? And do they lack a little bit of trust now for Frank Reich? Is there a relationship between those guys damaged because of the failure with Carson? I don't know. Now, the Colts had an amazing running game. They had a good defense. Here's what Jonathan Taylor, the Colts running back, did last year. He was in the MVP conversation. I thought you could have made a strong argument he should have won the MVP. He ran for 1,811 yards on 332 carries with 18 touchdown runs. Their best receiver, Michael Pittman Jr., had a good year, 88 catches, 1,082 yards, 6 touchdown catches. I think they could use one more receiver in Indy. I'm not sure if it's possible. I think they freed up a lot of salary cap space by getting rid of Carson. So if they can they sign Amari Cooper? That would be amazing. Maybe they sign Juju Smith-Schuster. They need another top receiver, in my opinion, to pair alongside of Michael Pittman Jr. And that thought, Juju or Amari Cooper in Indy really, really excites me. Make an offer. Go get that guy. You want your quarterback to do well, get a couple of receivers. You got a good offensive line, a good running game, a good defense. Like, put your quarterback in a position to succeed. Go get a top receiver, Indy. And because they do not have a first-round pick, I would imagine that if they want a surefire impact receiver, it's going to have to be in free agency. They do have a second-round pick after trading away Carson to Washington. They've got the 42nd overall pick in the second round. Maybe they can get a receiver there. But like those two amazing guys out of Ohio State, they're not going to be there. I think Jahan Dotson will be off the board. I don't know. It's weird because the Colts need a receiver. They need a quarterback. But they're really only a couple moves away from being potentially a Super Bowl contender. So I don't know. The Colts defense is a ton of talent. Bobby Okereke had 132 tackles. Darius Leonard had 8 forced fumbles and 4 interceptions. Kenny Moore is a stud corner. DeForest Buckner is great. Rookie defensive end Kwity Paye got better as the year went on. Like, I like what the Colts are doing. I think a couple moves and they're a great football team because they have a lot of talent. Like, they need a receiver and a quarterback. And then, I mean, there's probably like little things I'm not paying attention to here and there, but like they're a really good football team. There's a lot of talent there. But they need a quarterback, and I have no idea what the plan is at quarterback for the Colts. I was dead wrong. I really thought the answer was going to be Carson Wentz, and I'm just really curious. Like, what is their plan? Who will be their quarterback next year? Because you don't have a first-round pick. You got rid of a guy who was not awful. You might have been frustrated with him, but is Carson really worse than having no quarterback at all? I don't know what they're thinking. Is Andrew Luck coming out of retirement? I have no idea. But I hope the Colts have some kind of plan because right now it appears like they are staring at a black hole at the quarterback position, and they're about to have their 5th guy in 5 years, which that's not good for any organization. I know Andrew Luck retired. I know you've been scrambling for years trying to find an answer ever since Andrew Luck left. But are the Colts anytime soon going to have the same quarterback in back-to-back years? I would love to see that. And it's really weird that a team that is really good and needs better quarterback play got rid of a guy who I thought was pretty good without appearing to have any kind of plan at all. So either the Colts have a plan we don't know about, or they just decided that they don't care about quarterbacks anymore in a quarterback-driven league. I don't know. Are they going to get Trubisky? I have no idea. We'll see. I'm very, very curious what the Colts are doing at the quarterback position, and I wish them luck.